Hi, everybody. We're Mike and Jennifer Wendland, and welcome to episode 544 of the RV Podcast.
I guess we shouldn't say hi, everybody. We should say
Howdy.
we are in Nashville, Tennessee at our RV community spring rally, which will be taking place all this week. Lots of things to do. Of course, we'll be down on Broadway near all the honky tonks. We're here with a bunch of folks who've come from all over the country to get together, spend a week socializing, hanging out, touring attractions, doing the honky tonk strip, having fires. We have a cornhole tournament.
Can't beat that.
And of course, the Friday night, the big
The
show.
Grand Ole Opry.
100th year celebration of the Grand Ole Opry, and we will be there. That's going to be really fun. So we'll be sharing a lot on social media, and you can catch that all. But we can't wait to spend a week hanging out with our buds. All right, let's dig right in. What's the big story this week?
Okay, the big story is it's not just the national parks that are being affected by staffing shortages. Now we're learning that many U.S. Army Corps of Engineer federal campgrounds, recreation areas, and visitor centers will be partly or fully closed this year. In Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana beginning May 1st because of federal staffing cuts.
Now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Omaha District issued a press release this past week, and they said that these are temporary adjustments. That was the phrase they used, but they gave no indication when or even if these places would reopen again.
They also announced that because of limited seasonal staffing, safety patrols would be reduced, especially during peak weekends and holidays.
Besides closures of some facilities, janitorial services for comfort stations, trash removal in those facilities that are still open, that's going to be reduced from 7 days, which they used to do every week, to just 3 times per week.
And remember the story we shared a couple of weeks back of luxury travel trailers stored on a vacant lot near L.A. that were overtaken and vandalized by homeless squatters?
Well, about 70 of those Black Series luxury travel trailers, many of them apparently the exact same that were damaged and graffiti tagged from that incident with the homeless folks, they just showed up on a quiet vacant lot in a neighborhood in nearby Riverside County, California.
Now, that has drawn outrage from nearby homeowners worried about the same thing happening again.
The city says that the owner of the trailers, Black Series RV, did not obtain the necessary city approvals to place them on an empty lot that sits near several homes.
And the mayor says the city is in the process of obtaining a warrant to remove the trailers.
I love this story. Yellowstone's most clever canine is Limpy the coyote, and he is back.
Have you heard of Limpy? Yellowstone's National Park's famous con artist coyote. He made it through the winter and is back panhandling the tourists in the Lamar Valley area of the park.
Now, for those who don't know, Limpy somehow learned that by hanging out near the roadside and greatly exaggerating an old leg injury by looking absolutely pathetic, tourists stop and leave him food.
Now, feeding wildlife in Yellowstone is strictly forbidden, but that doesn't stop tourists from falling for Limpy's act.
He has been observed having really only a slight limp when he's chasing natural prey, such as rodents.
But when he knows an audience is watching, he really lays it on and acts as if he can hardly walk.
Limpy's been doing this for years now. Nobody's quite sure how old he is. They think he's around 6, which is right at the upper limit of age for most coyotes in the wild.
And our last story, Mother's Day is fast approaching. And we've noticed that many campgrounds around the country are planning special Mother's Day events and hopes RVers will celebrate Mom at the campground.
Many Jellystone and KOA campgrounds offering everything from spa days, you'd like that,
I would.
to sip and paints. What do you suppose they're sipping?
I don't know.
To chocolate surprises.
Ooh.
Some states like Tennessee are getting in on the action. Tennessee has a lot of really nice resort campgrounds with restaurants, and the ones that have restaurants are offering mouth-watering Mother's Day menus at their state parks. So take Mom camping this year, right?
Yes.
Hey, show notes for everything we talk about in this week's podcast. You can find them at rvlifestyle.com/podcast. And if you have comments about questions about anything you hear, just send us an email. Our personal emails, Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com.
Hey, heads up. If you haven't already subscribed to the RV Lifestyle podcast or our YouTube channel, you're missing out on weekly road trip tips. Gear reviews.
Say that fast. Road trip
Road
tips.
trip tips. I was proud of myself. I got it out. Okay, great reviews and real RV stories that help you make the most out of every adventure.
Now, whether you're dreaming about your first trip or maybe you're a seasoned full-timer, we'd love it if you would subscribe. Just search for RV Lifestyle Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Or you can find us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on Spotify or on Apple or Google podcast apps. And when you subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell icon, and then we'll notify you when new videos come out. This part of the podcast is brought to you by Keystone RV's Montana line of luxury fifth wheels.
Our own Montana High Country has been our home on wheels for the past 2 years, traveling thousands of miles across North America.
We have been consistently impressed by its robust construction, its meticulous attention to detail, and we often joke that it's our
condo on wheels. That's how comfortable the living experience truly is.
Montana sets the gold standard in luxury fifth wheels, superior craftsmanship, continuous innovation. Every model features thoughtful touches like big front living spaces, residential-style kitchens, construction that has been tested to withstand everything from cross-country adventures to winter camping.
Choosing a Montana isn't just about buying an RV. It's about embracing a lifestyle where luxury and adventure meet at every mile.
If you're ready to elevate your RV experience, visit KeystoneRV.com and you can discover why Montana continues to be the choice for RVers who refuse to compromise on quality and comfort. Time now for the RV Conversation of the Week.
And we want to spend some time having a conversation this week about 2 different emails we received in response to recent podcasts.
Both of them are from RV wannabes, folks who have been dreaming about the RV lifestyle and want to start. They just aren't quite sure how. And we think both of these emails worthy a bit more of a conversation than we could do if we just responded to their email. Besides, what we received from 2 probably means that other people are in the same boat or similarly confused about which way to go.
So let's dig right in and read them first.
I like the headline that the woman who wrote this first email, she said, "Dreamer needs advice for becoming a doer." Now, in our past podcast, we talked about dreaming and doing. And here's what she says. She says, "Thanks so much for your informative videos. I've really been enjoying your channel. I have a question I hope you wouldn't mind answering. Pertinent info first. My whole life, I dreamed of RVing. I thought it would be a Class A or C. Fast forward, and I am 55, an empty nester, cancer survivor, living with a new cancer diagnosis that is incurable but treatable. So, I've been patiently dreaming and researching over the years, but we now feel a little pressed for time. I may be stable for the next 20 years, or things could change on a dime. We are eager to start making some wonderful memories, being it's just me and my husband now. Given that we will have insane medical bills for the rest of my life, we figured Class B would be the wisest option, especially when factoring in the cost of fuel and all those things, as well as ease of parking and driving. The size seems perfect, but we had no idea the prices would be so high. My question is, what would you say would be the best, wisest way to move from dreamers to doers ASAP? Of course, I have my dream van, which is the Coachman Beyond. I also like the Nuvo Plus with the lift bed. We have 7 grandchildren, ages 5 and under, and dream of taking them on trips with us, not all at once. And I would like some extra sleep space. We could fit one at a time in the Beyond bed with us. Also, I have other health issues and disabilities that would make not having to set up and break down the bed every day a blessing. Realistically, in this moment, even a used camper van is still a pipe dream, so a brand new one is dreaming big, but I gave you that information to give you an idea of what we would choose if there weren't any obstacles. Like you said in one of your videos, Jen, we can dream. And isn't that just half the fun, just dreaming about possibilities? Hopefully we will meet on the road someday. Blessings, Linda. All right. Thank you, Linda.
We're so delighted that Linda took the time to write, and she is very candid about her life situation and challenges. But we want to encourage her to not give up on this dream. It is doable.
But the problem is the cost of new RVs. And the RVs that she's attracted to are very expensive. That new Beyond, we priced one out there. It's approaching $250,000 new, loaded up like she'd like it. And if all of the industry talk about tariff worries and price hikes is true, we're told that some of the cost of these RVs, the new RVs, can go up as much as 20% later this year.
So, for Linda, if an RV is going to be part of her future, a new one sounds like it's out of the question.
So one thing we caution, don't finance a new one. Interest rates, depreciation, and I hate to say this, but financial shenanigans at many dealers, we keep hearing folks complain about that, make us strongly against ever financing an RV, unless you are absolutely sure of your financial situation for years to come.
The health issue Linda shared adds way too much uncertainty.
And the other thing we urge is never buy from one of those great big mega chains. And yes, I'm talking about Camping World. Their sales tactics, just to Google them, they're under a lot of criticism for high pressure tactics. And they're not alone. Most of the other great big sales outfits, the ones that have outlets all across the country, they have a generally poor reputation for service and customer care. So our advice is try and buy a used RV and buy it directly from the owner. If possible, if you have to go to a dealership, look for a small dealership that's family run.
Finally, judging by what Linda shared, we do not recommend a Class B unless you'll be using it for relatively short stays. Look for a B plus or a small C.
Is this not so much a takedown and breakdown? And with your health issues, I think you'll be happier with something a little bigger.
And I got to say, sometimes those sofa beds, they're not nearly as comfortable as they appear to be.
So set your maximum budget. That's just the first thing you should do, what you can afford. Then you search places like RV Trader, Facebook Marketplace, set up a Google search for used RVs that match the criteria you need. Be patient, be methodical. All right. Good luck, Linda.
Now, that was Linda. We received another letter this week that expressed the same frustration, but this person wants to literally sell the farm, her home, for decades and set out full-time in an RV. Let's read it. This is from Amy.
All right. Now, we had a couple of other emails from Amy, but the latest one she said was, now I gained another golden nugget from your last podcast, and I'm asking you a favor, please. Knock me off the fence of indecision. That's what we talked about last week. I leaped out in faith over the weekend and rented a camper van and spent 2 nights at a state park in New Jersey. I drove almost 300 miles total in 2 days and sure enjoyed the flexibility of the van, being able to fit into parking spots, drive into little beachheads and trailheads. Yet the build was very simple. And if it wasn't for the state park bathhouse, I would have been miserable. So now I'm scared to take the leap of faith because my lupus also flared up from all the driving and the stress and the cold nights, and it felt good to come back to the farm late Monday night after driving another few hours from dropping off the rental van until at the farm the sink started leaking, and then the wind blew down more trees, and I just came in from laboring with my electric chainsaw, and I'm miserable. And I finished your podcast, and I just wish you two could be my ambassadors and tell me what to buy that would enable me drivable flexibility, yet a little more creature comfort. I don't have a buyer for the farm yet, so here I am. What should I do, Amy?
Wow. First, good job, Amy, in renting an RV. You learned a lot, didn't you? And what we think you learned is that a Class B is pretty cramped, especially if, as you shared with us in a previous letter, you're going to be selling your longtime farm home and traveling around full time.
Like our previous conversation with Linda, Amy has some long-term health issues, and there's a lot of setup and takedown involved in the Class B. And van life may sound very adventurous, and it is, but I don't think it's really well-suited long-term to those who have age and health issues. So we suggest a B plus or a Class C for Amy as well.
In fact, find one and rent it too. See how that fits and imagine what it would be like living in it full time.
Here's a wake-up call, Amy. Just as you had all those chores and challenges at your farm when you returned from the RV rental, you're also going to have similar chores, maintenance, and challenges, breakdowns, and repairs in the RV life.
For you too, we recommend a used RV if you're dead set on getting one. How much can you afford? What's available? Do not overbuy and do not finance one.
You need to know how you'll use that RV and what are your minimum requirements, and that means you probably need to rent a few more make sure you know how to maintain one. Now, she asked us to tell her which one to buy, and we can't make that decision for Amy. What we end up choosing for ourselves for our second RV, we're going to get a motorhome. We need a motorhome to supplement our fifth wheel for shorter trips. But what we choose is based strictly on our needs and our wants, and it would not fit yours, Amy. You got to figure your own needs
Yeah.
out.
We don't want to tell you to give up on your dream, but you tell us it's an either or situation. Either you sell the farm and use the proceeds to buy it, or there is no RV.
So seriously consider all the ramifications of this decision. If you decide that's what you're going to do, get some more information first. And audience, what do you think? Use the comments below to offer helpful suggestions to both Linda and Amy. And Linda and Amy, tell us your direction.
We love following up with you both.
So let us know what's going on. All right, it's time now for the RV Land Report. And in this segment, we check in with RV land specialists from different parts of the country about where you can find multi-acre parcels of RV land.
And the Western RV Land Report is coming up first with Eric Pozniak.
We have our Greenwood Ranch project out in Hackberry, Arizona. Awesome location. We're getting ready to release our final phase and finishing up these roads. It's gonna be beautiful. You know, cooler temperatures. We're up right there in that tree line. And I mean, our owners from our first phase, they are absolutely loving it. And, you know, with spring blossom coming around the corner, this is the best time of year.
All right. So how do they find out more information about that?
So for Greenwood Ranches, you want to go to ArizonaRanchSale.com. ArizonaRanchSale.com.
What else is for sale out west?
Well, we've got a project that we're just loving right now out in Colorado, right off the I-25. And these are big parcels, you know, 35 to 60 acres in size. You know, we have electricity available to the lots. There's multiple different options for water, including drilling a well, which, you know, we did a few test wells out there on our own and fantastic results.
All right. And how do they find out information about the Colorado property?
Take a guess, Mike. How about ColoradoRanchSale.com? ColoradoRanchSale.com.
All right, now let's head east and see what we have in RV land in Tennessee and check in with Tom Spychalski.
Hey, Mike. Well, it's pretty exciting. We've got the final closeout of the reserve. It was a 3,000-acre estate. I think you checked it out, right near the Natchez Trace Parkway. And there are final properties out there. They're beautiful. RV in particular, it's you can't do what you want with your property in so many places, so many states. In Tennessee, in certain parts of Tennessee, they'll let you do what you want, and especially being this close to Nashville has been important. You know, usually if you can do what you want, you're so far out of the market, but this is near Music City. Tennessee is a great place to be. You've got 0% state income tax. You've got job growth. There's a lot of economic activity going there. It's a hands-off government. The people are just tired. And lately, I've been hearing this. People are just tired of the whiplash that they're getting on Wall Street, and they want to put their money into something real. They're buying, so that's why it's called real estate, right? And this has been an amazing project, huge success. People are doing some incredible things with their RVs up there. You can build what you want, little casita, just your RV, great trails throughout and a beautiful 3,000 acre right in the middle of horse country. Couldn't be better.
How do people find out more about this? Where do they go on the web?
It's rvlands.net. That's plural, rvlands.net.
Now for the social media buzz with Wendy Boyer. Wendy Boyer reports on the hot issues most talked about this past week on social media and our RV Lifestyle community group.
Hi, everybody. The theme this week in both our private RV Lifestyle community and our Facebook group seemed to be hitting the road. In our community, about 80 of us were hitting the road, heading to Nashville, the Music City, for our spring rally, posting where we were and how far out we were along the way. And in the Facebook group, people were hitting the road, going all over the place. And as they did, they ran into different scenarios and had different questions. And one of those questions came from Lena. Lena is a newbie, and she wrote, "Quick question, if I come to a Camping World or a Cabela's after they close, And on the RV parking app, it says it's okay to stay overnight. Do I just stay there? Now, it sounds like Lena and her family were on a long trip. They were planning to drive further, but the kids got cranky. Everybody just needed to pull over and get a little bit of sleep. But it was late. They used their app to find out what was ahead, where they might be able to crash for the night. Saw these 2 locations, but it was too late to call the stores to check with management to make sure it's okay. Now, in this post and this question, it just got hundreds of responses, sparked quite the conversation. And there were so many things interesting about it. First, I thought it was interesting. A lot of people did not know that there were options other than Walmart or Cracker Barrel if you need to overnight somewhere on a long trip. And there are, besides Camping World and Cabela's, there's Costco, Bass Pro, Home Depot, Lowe's, even some casinos allow it. There's a variety of places. And a lot of people also were concerned about whether you can park at all of these places or do you really need to check with management? And you do need to check with management if at all possible, because there are local ordinances that sometimes prohibit RVers from staying in a camp, to camp or stay overnight in a parking lot. And sometimes the stores themselves prohibit it because maybe RVers abuse the privilege. They, got their grills and their chairs out, left trash behind, and the stores just decided it wasn't worth it. So you really do need to know the specifics for your location. So back to Lena, what she ended up doing after listening to everyone's advice is first there were reviews on this app that said where to park, what to expect, and that gave her some comfort. And then she went to the store's webpage, and sure enough, that individual webpage had an overnight policy that spelled out what to do, and then that gave them peace of mind, and they stayed there overnight. But through all of this, there were a couple lessons that I'd like to share with you in case you ever find yourself in a similar situation. The first is use an app to help you see what's coming up ahead where you can overnight for free if it's too late to get in a campground and you just need a few hours sleep on a long trip. Use those apps. Secondly, see if the apps have reviews on this particular spot. Read what others said about where to camp, what to expect. Just so you go into it with eyes wide open. And then third, try to reach the management, of course, to make sure it's okay. But if it's not okay, do what Lena did. See if the store or the business has a webpage, and if on that webpage there is an overnight policy. So I hope those tips might help one of you. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I'll see you next time, either on our RV Lifestyle community or Facebook group.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. We've had a couple of questions in the last week on our Sunday night live stream. Ask Us Anything. People have said, hey, I tried to stay at a Cracker Barrel, and they told me there's been a change in corporate policy that they don't allow RVers in anymore. We've tried to chase that down as best we can. And from everything we've gotten back from the corporation and others who've tried the same thing, there is no change in their corporate policy. Cracker Barrel loves having RVers spend the night there in their parking lot. The problem is that some jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, because of problems most often with homeless people that are taking advantage of that, the local jurisdictions have enacted ordinances that prohibit that. It's not everywhere. It's only in some areas, and it's not a corporate decision by Cracker Barrel. RVers are still welcome at most Cracker Barrels. Time now for the RV question of the week.
And the question is, if you're camping off grid for a week, how much water do you need to bring? There are 2 of us from Roseanne.
I think the question we need to ask Roseanne is, how clean do you want to be? The general guideline is 2 gallons per day per person, and that's for drinking, cooking, washing dishes, and minimal hygiene. And that means sponge baths and maybe just brushing your teeth. That excludes showering or doing things like laundry.
We're betting you want to take a bit more. There are the considerations. Showers, if you plan to shower, add 1 to 2 gallons per person per shower using a low flow shower head or taking Navy-style showers that conserve water.
The toilet, if you are using a flush toilet in your RV, that's going to take a half to a gallon per flush. You might want to consider a cassette or a composting toilet if you want to save water usage for boondocking.
Now, the RV tank capacity, you didn't tell us what you're camping in, but most RVs have 20 to 100 gallon freshwater tanks. Check your RV's capacity and plan trips around it.
What a lot of people do is they bring their own bottled water for drinking, and that gives you more days use out of the water that's in your freshwater tank. So if you put it all together, I think this is a reasonable solution that you can plan for a 7-day boondocking trip with minimal showers for 2 RVers. You might need basic use 3 gallons a day. 3 gallons times 7 days, that's 21 gallons.
Plus 2 showers each during the week, 1.5 gallons a shower, so that equals 6 gallons.
Now, that's just 2 showers per person per week, not everyday showers. And that works out to about a 27-gallon plus maybe 5 to 10 gallons that you might want to have as a margin. So you're going to need some water. I think our best tip for boondockers is bring bottled water with you if you can. That always helps what water you do have go a little easier.
We have an invitation for you. It's an invitation to have fun, make friends, and find adventure by joining us at rvcommunity.com. And that's our private online community created exclusively for RV enthusiasts, away from the noise and the nastiness. You know what it's like on public social media, like Facebook. We truly believe that the journey is always better together.
And at rvcommunity.com, you're connecting with RVers who share your passions, from boondocking under the stars to swapping campfire recipes, capturing stunning landscapes through your camera lens, or even traveling with your 4-legged co-pilots.
With over 24 special interest RV groups, there is a space for everybody. And best of all, there are no ads, no distractions, just real conversations and genuine friendships.
But that's not all. Join us at 3 exclusive rallies every year, held in breathtaking locations across North America. Share stories, learn from experienced travelers, and create unforgettable memories, because RVing is about the people you meet.
Now, you'll get direct access and coaching from Jen and I. We do regular live streams just for the community. There's instant chat. There's meetups in local areas and regional spots. And you're not just joining a community, you're becoming truly part of an RV family.
Come check us out at rvcommunity.com for more information. We're all about 3 things: having fun, making friends, and finding adventure.
That is how we live every day in the RV lifestyle community, because life's greatest moments happen when you dare to explore.
All right, now it's time for Mike and Jen's story time. We call this one Jennifer's Mackinac Island Nocturnal Visitor.
This week, we're sharing one of my most memorable nights on Mackinac Island, my favorite place in the world.
That's right. For those who don't know, Mackinac Island sits in Lake Huron between Michigan's Upper and Lower Peninsula. It's a unique place. No motor vehicles are allowed. You get around by bicycle or horse, and you get there by taking a ferry boat or you fly in. You can't drive there.
We try to visit every year, but we have to leave our RV parked on the mainland. To overnight, we stay in one of the island's charming hotels.
This particular night happened just before 11 p.m., and we had just turned off the lights, settling into a comfortable king-size bed in our hotel room.
I had just closed my eyes when something soft, like a feather, landed on my cheek. I instantly knew what it was.
Ta-da!
A bat.
Now, she resisted screaming, but she definitely woke me up.
I had to. I told him, a bat just landed on my face.
First thing I asked her was, did it bite you? She said no, but that it was literally sitting on her cheek. Now, it was pitch black. I couldn't see.
When it fluttered away, I did what any sensible person would do. I dove under the covers.
And meanwhile, I jumped out of bed. I turned on the lights. Now, here's the thing. I did see the bat flying around the room, but I didn't want to scare Jennifer more than she already was, huddled under those blankets.
And what did you say?
I may have said it was just a big moth.
He grabbed a magazine and started making these half-hearted swats at it.
Eventually, the bat landed on the window screen, and I trapped it between the pages of the magazine. I took it out in the hall and released it outside.
Then he came back, told me to come out from under the covers, and confessed his little white lie.
I called her Batgirl for the rest of the weekend.
As it turns out, bats are quite common on Mackinac Island. We learn later they're frequent visitors in hotel hallways.
Now, we aren't going to name the hotel. It wasn't the famous Grand Hotel, by the way, but it gave us a story we will never forget.
So what's the moral of our tale?
Sometimes a little white lie to prevent panic can turn a scary moment into a cherished memory.
And that even in the most beautiful places, unexpected guests can drop in, literally.
So thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Mike and Jen story time. And that's this week's podcast. Use the comments below to share your thoughts or send them directly to us via our private email, which is mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com.
Happy trails!